Hello friends, welcome. I am Manoj K, and in this series that is called Thinking Themes for Mains 2025, I am going to start for paper 4. So why we are doing this series? Because in the given time, you need to be very, very extraordinarily structured. What does it mean by it? It simply means the way you are going to arrange each and everything that you do the syllabus should be very slick, powerful, and that helps you to retain and recall with highest possible speed so that you can maintain the quality of the answer. And that is the need, and that is the only need of those 3 hours in the examination hall. Now what happens that throughout the year, you read a lot, you listen a lot, you procure your content a lot, but that doesn't matter in the examination hall. What matters, or you can say the only thing matter in the examination hall is basically the way you can reproduce the things and how quick you can do it. And so this time, along with all the you can say my colleagues, friends, all the faculties, we have decided to do it so that we can touch most of the things that helps you to you can say, or it can give you a guidance, a roadmap to identify, to list the themes and how to approach it. This is what the sole motto is. Needless to say about this paper, fine. Students are scoring 70 also, students are scoring 140 also. So this is the you can say the scenario. At least you can say, I can safely say 30-40 papers you will find, toppers copies you will find on the GSS course website, those who scored 125, 130, 135, 140 or something like that. What I have noticed and what is my personal understanding and learning is one and only one thing, that whatever you are writing here is not simply about the keyword definition, etc. Why I am saying all these things? Because if you speak to your peer group in the social media, you will find that a lot of discussion is happening in and around the keywords, examples, etc. That's good, that's needed. But ultimately, I tell you one thing, that this is the depth and the analysis through which you take the edge in the examination. I repeat my sentence, that this is not the simply the basic points or the structure. It is important. But at the same time, mind it, in this examination, what happens that the fight among the competent candidates are at par. Wo at par. So every question you have to fight. Every question means every question. क्योंकि competent candidates के बीच में जो fight है वो बहुत tough है. It's very intense. And so the depth, analysis, etc. will definitely gives you the edge. Nothing else means nothing else. चाहे तुम जितना भी बात कर लो, करते रहो, वो edge नहीं रहता. Edge आपको analysis और depth ही देती है. Apart from all the things. वो तो important है ही. So let's start with the you can say some of the very basic things, and then we will move to the paper 1. Fine. I will take case study separately, because in case study also we can go with the themes and all as far as different kind of case studies are concerned. But in today's session, I will focus more in and around you can say the theoretical part. We'll pick 2 or 3 unit, and within those 3 units, I will try to segregate, list the themes and how to approach it. Fine. So let's start with one thing, and that is how they are framing questions. If you go through the previous question paper, fine, of the last 10 years, then you will find that all the questions can be easily categorized broadly in 4 broader categories. जितने भी क्वेश्चंस हैं सेक्शन ए के, आप 4 कैटेगरी में ब्रॉडली डिवाइड कर सकते हो. The first question, fine, is basically question based on principles, ideas, fine. So first questions, some of the basic philosophy, philosophical teachings, etc., including ethical theories. So this is number one. Number two, the second is very, very basic, and that is keywords. Some of the questions of the previous year, you will find that the questions are directly taken or based on certain keywords which is mentioned in the syllabus, be it emotional intelligence or be it transparency or be it, you can say, compassion or anything for that matter. They directly take some keywords from the previous year's question paper and then they directly frame it, the questions. So questions are more or less very direct. Third type of question is basically question, and that is, I call it solution seeking. Solution seeking. This is the third category of questions, which is solution seeking, in the sense that they seek solution from you in the given scenario, case, problem, etc. Fine. For example, 1 year they have asked, or in UPSC, there was a question that youths are not joining politics, how you will motivate them to join politics. Fine. It's a suggestion. You cannot talk about the attitude and other things, no theoretical things, not at all. We have to talk about the solution which is workable. Workable. Why? Because this paper is not about theory. This paper is more about ethics in action. It simply means how do you apply the different philosophy, ideas, thinking, standards, etc. How do you bring it into the practice? And this is what it makes it different from the basic paper of, or the basic idea of philosophy. And that's why you will find that in the last 10 years, they have never ever gone very deep into the philosophical aspect. They have touched it, definitely they will touch. So, solution seeking questions. Fine. Now my point is basically, will you find ready-made points in any, you can say, the book? No, you cannot. And fourth is applied. So if you see last 2 years paper, it is completely applied. Completely applied. Now in the sense that now the questions are in a very, very specific context. Be it corruption, be it international relation, be it environment, be it euthanasia, abortion, and you can say the war, constitutional morality, and this is how paper is evolving. If you look at from 2013 to 2024, you will find the initial years question paper primarily from this side, primarily keywords based. But then after 2020, you can say gradually questions started becoming more applied in nature, and now the entire paper is applied. And this is the reason that variations are more. What is the difference between the marking pattern in the initial years and now? If you look at the initial years, marking there was also some variation, but what was happening that if students are not getting marks in you can say paper 4, the entire lot was not getting. Entire lot. जैसे इस बार देखो पेपर 3 में ऐसा नहीं है कि किसी को पेपर 3 आती ही नहीं है, लेकिन पेपर 3 की मार्किंग ही कुछ ऐसी हो रही है, गॉड नोज व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर दैट, फाइन, कि उनकी मार्किंग जो है वो थोड़ी लोअर साइड है. इसी तरह से एथिक्स में भी पहले अगर आप 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 को देखो, नोबडी वाज गेटिंग 150, 60. हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट इट? नो. ये तो बाद के फिनोमेना जिसमें 150, 150, 60 इस तरह के मार्क्स आने लगे. And you can say, especially in the last 2 years, if you see when the paper become more applied, see the variation and the gap become more wide, more wider. So students are getting 80, 90, 95 also, students are getting 140, 145, 130 and something like that. There is the very basic reason for that. Just go and search. आप अगर प्रीवियस ईयर्स के जितने भी क्वेश्चन को देखो, अगर उसको ब्रॉडली कैटेगराइज करो तो आप इजिली 4 बास्केट में डाल सकते हो. Now, my point, I'm coming to the themes. Now, when we talk about the themes, what does mean by it? Theme simply means that you are arranging each and every idea, topic, concept in such a way that whole syllabus and the contemporary issues are covered very well. Theme does not mean being very selective. No. Theme simply means the idea which is cutting across the topic. And so within one theme you can arrange certain things so that it becomes very slick to retain, and it gives you the opportunity to recall very fast and reproduce the things. So what happens that once you understand it, then it becomes a little bit easier for you to understand why we are arranging themes in this fashion, in this way. Why? Because theme अलग अलग तरीके से बना सकते हैं लोग. आपको लगता होगा कि ये मुझे सूट करता और मैं इस तरह से बनाऊंगा, मोस्ट वेलकम. वर्क द वे इट इज मोर इफेक्टिव फॉर यू. फाइन. सो दिस इज व्हाट you can understand from the PYQ. PYQ को समझने का ये सिंपल 4 स्टेप यही है सर. जस्ट गो and do your R&D. You will find कि जितने भी क्वेश्चंस है उसको किसी न किसी बास्केट में आप बकेट में डाल सकते हो. Number 1. Number 2, linked to this, if you look at your syllabus, there are 7 units. So we are going to talk about the themes. So when we are going to talk about the themes, it's very important to talk about the different units, syllabus, and why it is so. ऐसा ही क्यों है? Whether it is society, whether it is governance, whether it is polity, or whether it is, you can say, the paper 4, you have to ask a very fundamental question, why it is like this? ऐसा ही unit क्यों है? Fine. So, if you look at your syllabus, 7 units, in the 7 units, the first 3 units are basically talks more about the principles and values, and that is ethics and human interface, then human values, then moral thinkers. These are the 3 units. These are the 3 units that primarily talks about the basic principles, values, philosophy, etc. ठीक है? Then there are 2 units, that is emotional intelligence and attitude. This is directly linked to the way we take decisions, the way we make our choices, and it is linked to the behavior. What guides our behavior? The way we think, respond, etc. Fine. So these are the 2. Then the third category of, you can say, the units, I can call it ethics in administration. So easily you can club 3 units. Foundational value for civil services, number 1. Number 2, ethics in administration. And number 3, probity and philosophical basis of governance. You can easily club these 3 units. To study, to organize, to avoid duplications of resources, material, it is a better way to do it. Better way to do it. And so I call it ethics in governance. Ethics in governance. Fine. And 4th, which is not explicitly mentioned, but somehow it is mentioned in your syllabus, but it's very important for you to understand. The next is contemporary ethics, where you can easily list various issues which is in the news, be it related to the SDG or the environment or war or constitutional morality or anything for that matter. It is also applied ethics. It is also applied ethics. No doubt about it. But it's very specific to the administration. It is very specific to the you can say, the areas other than the Administration. So now my point is, if you look at both the aspects, I'm coming to the themes, but some of the very fundamental aspect for the preparation is needed. It's needed. It's very much needed. Ultimately, because you have to understand, you have to retain, you have to you can say, go for a very high recall, so may that it develops your skill to maintain the spontaneity. आखिर हम जिस spontaneity की बात करते हैं, speed plus quality to write answers. This has gone to a very next level. और मैं तो बहुत सारे सेशंस में कहता हूं इसको, और ओपनली कहता हूं, आई डू लॉट ऑफ कॉपी करेक्शंस. और लास्ट ईयर एक कॉपी जब मैं कर रहा था, तो मैंने मॉक को कम से कम मुझे लगता है 15 या 20 मिनट में ही किया. अदरवाइज कभी 35 मिनट भी लगते हैं, कभी 40 मिनट भी लगते हैं. लेकिन और उसका रीजन था, इट वाज सो क्लियर टू मी दैट इट वाज लाइक आई एम टॉकिंग टू दैट कॉपी. It was so clear. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. अब ऐसे कैंडिडेट पूरे इंडिया में कितने होंगे, किसको पता? राजेंद्र नगर में कितने होंगे, किसको पता? Fine. But these are the students really, they raise the bar like anything. वो बार को इतना ऊपर उठा देते हैं. Fine. And इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं कि spontaneity in the sense speed with quality. क्योंकि अब वहां पे कुछ स्टूडेंट्स तो डेफिनेटली पहुंच गए हैं, दोज हु आर एबल टू मेंटेन दैट स्पीड विद द क्वालिटी. वो पेपर को बहुत हाईएस्ट ऑर्डर पे खत्म करते हैं. फाइन. एंड सो आई एम टॉकिंग लाइक दिस. व्हेन यू गो टू अरेंज द PYQ, easily you find the way. It can be very well, or it can become more meaningful to you. Fine. And when you go for syllabus, you can understand कि ये syllabus इस तरह से क्यों दी गई है. क्योंकि कुछ बेसिक फिलॉसफी है, आइडियाज हैं एथिक्स के, फिर वो डिसीजन मेकिंग से लिंक होता है, देन इट गो टू द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, एंड देन फाइनली लिंक टू द कंटेम्प्रेरी इश्यूज. तो जो भी आप पढ़ेंगे, जो भी आप पढ़ रहे हैं, जो भी आपके पास मटेरियल है, थीम्स है, एटसेट्रा, वो इस 4 बकेट में ही आएगा. Just go and do R&D. You will find it. And if you start arranging all your notes and resources in this way, or you can say the summary sheet which you are going to create now to write this examination, it will be ultimately arranged in this way. And all the questions of whatever test series you attend, it will go like this only. ये ऐसे ही जाएगा. ऐसे जाएगा मतलब ऐसे ही जाएगा. और ये कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं. दिस इज सिंपली अ मेथड टू अरेंज द थिंग्स. द वे यू अरेंज ऑन योर डेस्क, इन योर कॉपीज, इट विल कम टू हियर. क्योंकि वहीं से उठ के ये ऑर्गेनाइज होता है. इफ इट इज नॉट ऑर्गेनाइज्ड वेरी वेल ऑन योर पेपर नोट्स, इट कैन नॉट बी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हियर. खोपड़ी में नहीं आएगा. एंड दिस इज व्हाई वी आर डूइंग दिस. लेट्स कम टू नाउ थीम्स. So this is what ultimately we are doing. So we'll go for, you can say that. Fine. So what I'm going to do now, we'll start unit by unit. Fine. We'll take 2 or 3 unit maximum. And there I will pick what is mentioned in the syllabus and how to expand it and how to identify the different themes. So ultimately, you can say broadly 50-60 themes are there around which you can compile each and everything. 50-60. तो आप मान के चलो कि 30-35 या 40 मान लो. 40 पेजेस में, अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 40 पेजेस में आपके पूरी की पूरी सिलेबस तैयार हो जानी चाहिए, इंक्लूडिंग एग्जाम्पल्स. या एग्जाम्पल्स को ले लो तो वो 50 पेजेस होंगे मैक्सिमम. This is what you can carry easily here to reproduce the things. Rest is your reflection, your ability to arrange the things, to connect the dots. ये आपका skill है. The way you practice, the way you have been mentored. Right? So this is how you are going to do it. तो करीब करीब अगर 50 themes हैं, 50-60 themes है तो 50 pages हो जाएंगे maximum. So now what happens that once you arrange each and everything in this way, because I do in this way, this is why I'm talking about. So it becomes little bit easier for you to reproduce the thing, revise the things. At least यहाँ से examination तक जाते जाते वो 10 times आप revise कर लोगे, क्योंकि 50 pages revise करने में आपको अगर 2 slot लेते हो आधे दिन का, तो 2 दिन में बहुत easily हो जाएगा. 20-25 pages flipping is not very difficult at this point of time. So let's start with the you can say the first thing first, and that is the first unit is ethics and human interface. Fine. ये आपका first unit है. Fine. How do we identify the theme? Theme is always identified in and around the topic mentioned in the syllabus, and then take PYQs, and then you can take something contemporary issues linked to it. Fine. तो ये syllabus में आपके mentioned है essence of ethics. This is the first thing first, what is mentioned in the syllabus. Now what you have to do to identify the themes or to create the themes, not identify, rather the creating the themes, is basically you have to identify why. Be it paper 3, paper 2, paper 1 or anything, why it is like this. What is the purpose of it? Because the basic thinking starts from here itself. And that's why I'm saying that when you go for creating the themes, it's very important to combine syllabus, PYQ and contemporary issues. So then only you would be in a position to understand the things. So for that matter, when you go for the unit 1, essence of ethics. Essence of ethics is fundamentally about 2 things. Only 2 things. This is how you have to think. Number 1, what is ethics? And number 2, why ethics? Why ethics? And that's why I have written here this to identify the different theme. The theme is essence, and then the basic component or sub-theme you can identify. The definition and the core purpose. Fine. Purpose of ethics, relevance of ethics. Relevance of ethics. Now why it is this? Because this paper basically is all about ethics in action. Ethics in practice. Ethics in practice. And when you talk about the purpose of the ethics, relevance in the life, you need to know various examples, cases, which helps you to write good answer. Good answer. Fine. For example, when I am saying ethics in action, what does mean by it? Just look at the purpose of ethics and relevance of it in life. Generally, you people talk about this paper, that this paper is all about common sense. This paper is all about writing something from your own experience or day-to-day life. Day-to-day life. Fine. I have a question. I have a question to you. साहब, मुझे एक बात बताइए आप. What kind of personal experience you have except taking money from your parents, or you may be earning? Fine. यही 2 criteria होंगे सर. कहीं से तो resources आएंगे ना आपको. At the age of 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6. Fine. How much world you have seen so that you become so much experienced that you are going to write something from your own day-to-day life experience? It cannot be. So even when you say day-to-day life, common sense, etc., it simply means, or any other word that you use, it simply means your ability to see something. I repeat my sentence. Your ability to see something. See something. It's all about your visualization. It's all about your observation, your ability to understand the gravity of the problem and all. Common sense है, day-to-day life है. तो क्या तुम ये लिख सकते हो एग्जाम्पल कि मैं रिक्शे वाले के साथ कहीं गया था और रिक्शे वाले को उतरने के बाद मैंने थैंक यू बोला और इट इज एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ग्रेटिट्यूड? फाइन. Do you think that when you write these kind of examples, you will get marks? No, not at all. And this is why I'm saying, cut from the noise. You will get the marks only on the basis of the depth that brings in your analysis. For example, take the example of Mandela. How ethics works in decision making. When Mandela became the head of the state, and this example I cited in my many you can say the classes. When Mandela became the head of the state, there were apprehension that the blacks are in power and they will take revenge. They will take revenge. Fine. And few you can say the media houses or the publication of that time, they also published that kind of apprehension because blacks were humiliated for long and they are now in the power, they will take revenge. But how Mandela established their credibility as a very good leader? He constituted one commission that is called Truth and Reconciliation Commission under the chairmanship of the Desmond Tutu, whose main mandate was one and only one thing, and that to ensure fairness and justice. And he was very categorical, very specific when Mandela says that if any community, any society live neglected, they face injustice, then in a long period of time, a cycle of revenge will start. And once the cycle of revenge starts, nothing can stop you. And so his leadership, because of certain principles, and that to translate it into practice, was able to take the whole nation out of the cycle of the revenge. This is how ethics works. This is how ethics in practice works. That's why I have written purpose. So purpose here simply means, what I'm trying to say, when you go for the listing these kind of things, you have to have that kind of you can say the examples, case studies, that brings depth in your answer. Depth in your answer. You don't have to lose. You don't have to get lost in the noise of this social media and all. Basically, the whole idea of the thinking themes is this only. So that how do you think and arrange everything which gives you the edge in the examination hall. Examination hall. Fine. So this is how you go for it. I'm going with the syllabus only. But what happens, as I said, that defining the theme, identifying the theme simply means you are creating a list which goes much beyond the syllabus, because they never ask questions directly from the syllabus. These are gone now. And so syllabus, PYQ and contemporary issues. We started with the unit by unit. And then easily you can go now to you can say the next thing, and that is the next in the syllabus is dimension of ethics. Dimension of ethics. Now, when you go for dimension of ethics, fine. You can make a list very longer. Personal ethics. Sorry. Fine. So you can go easily with the personal ethics, professional ethics, public ethics, global ethics in global scenarios and all. Fine. Now, how do you arrange the different information, cases, whatever you have studied so far? Fine. Now, if you look at the dimension, why we are talking about the personal ethics here and what does it mean by it, and how do you arrange or how do you write your summary sheet here? So when we talk about personal ethics in the context of the personal life, it simply means here that we have to understand one and only one thing. We are what our decisions are. We are what our choices are. We are not different from our decisions and choices. So the question is how our decisions and choices are linked to the basic principles and how it worked, plus minus ethics. Similarly, if you look at that how dimension of ethics you have to link in the professional ethics. Now, we are living in a 21st century world. 21st century world. 21st century world is unique in one sense than the you can say the previous centuries, decades. That now we are becoming a world of highly specialized services. Slowly we are emerging. Slowly emerging. And for everything we seek services, be it advocate, be it doctor, be it engineer, and so many specialized services gradually. So even now you will heard so much of the name of the different kind of jobs, services, etc. That was not in the dictionary of the industry some 30, 40 years back, even 15 years. Even in 15 years. What does it mean by it? It simply means that experts are experts because of their knowledge. And then the service seekers are the client, Now the question is that if it is not guided by certain standards of that services, the profession gradually start losing its credibility. And that's why we will talk about whether it is medical ethics or ethics in sports or anything for that matter. Fine. Similarly is the public or the global scenarios when we are talking about when you are talking about the public ethics in the public life. It simply means it is talking about more responsibility. So you just have to write just one word in your summary sheet, more responsibility, and define it. There is a difference between responsibility and accountability. Responsibility is self-owned. So accountability is there, no doubt about it. So these are the keywords that you have to simply write in your summary sheet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One example, two example. For example, global scenario. In the global scenario, you can talk about the climate problem. Climate problem is the perfect example of moral storm. Moral storm. If this would have been the case only that is linked to certain industry or certain, you can say, class of the society, then easily it could have been, you can say, the solution would have been there. अगर टेक्नोलॉजी से सॉल्व होना होता तो हो गया रहता ना साहब, नहीं हो रहा ना, नहीं हो रहा, because ultimately it's an example of value crisis. Value crisis. Here is the example. So this is how you think about the dimensions. और हमने एक एक word लिखा, एक एक example लिखते चले गए, इसके एक एक example लिखते चले गए. Fine. So this is one. Just a moment. So क्वेश्चंस भी किस तरह से आते हैं? क्वेश्चंस वो कहीं बेसिक से नहीं पूछेंगे, इसी से किसी कंटेक्स्ट को उठा के पूछेंगे, या फिर जब आपको आंसर लिखना हो तो अगर आपके पास कंटेक्स्ट, सिनेरियोस, कीवर्ड्स, एग्जांपल्स आपके पास बने हुए, then it becomes a little bit easier for you to recall and reproduce the things. So this class is not about teaching, rather helping you that how you should think in themes. How do you going to arrange each and everything which works for you in the answer writing, which works for you in the examination hall. For that matter, fine. Just go for the link, you can say third, determinants of the ethics. The very fundamental question you have to ask while creating themes is basically why. How it works, why this kind of topical arrangement, what part of syllabus or contemporary issues it is covering, because ultimately again I am saying you in the way I have worked for this year main examination, I have listed it कि 50-60 थीम्स में पूरे सिलेबस कंटेम्प्रेरी इश्यूज करीब करीब कवर हो रहा है, करीब कवर हो रहा है। इसका मतलब है कि 2 दिन में वो पूरा का पूरा रिवाइज किया जा सकता है। बट यहाँ पे जो क्लासेस है वो तो 7-8 डेज लग जाते हैं उसमें क्रैश कोर्स में, लेकिन रिवीजन 2 दिन में हो सकती है। उसकी रिवीजन तो सेक्शन 1 ही हो जाएगी। बट इन आंसर राइटिंग you cannot be, you can say, or maintain that kind of speed to improve. What does mean by it when I'm saying that you cannot, you can say, adopt that kind of speed instantly? The reason is this paper along with essay is slow. I always say it. I always, whenever I get opportunity to talk to you, I always say that be a little bit patient when you are dealing with these 2 subjects. This is slow. Unlike, let's talk about the geography. Geography is equally interdisciplinary, more disciplinary, analytical, लेकिन उसके फ्रेम ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्टिव है, be it plate tectonic, be it population, or be it the physical geography of India. The framework is more or less objective, and within that framework you have to be analytical. But here the ground is more open, more subjective, open-ended. So what happens, you need to be little bit, you can say, fast to connect the things, and that makes this the whole subject and practice little bit slow. So coming to the point, here comes determinants of the ethics. It simply means when we are talking about the ethics, it simply means we are talking about the principles. But the first question that comes to the mind here is, from where ethics gets its authority? डिटरमिनेंट का मतलब ही यही है, और मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं, जब भी आप पढ़ो तो कुछ फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चंस अपने टॉपिक से पूछो. एथिक्स is principle, but the very basic and the fundamental question is from where it gets its authority. इसको authority मिलती कहां से साहब? Why do we care about it? तुम तो केयर इसलिए करोगे कि 250 मार्क्स का. But even then, why do you care? Why do we care? Because it has some authority. It draws some authority from somewhere. So it draws its authority from culture, norms, that says the standard. It draws its authority from law. It draws its authority from religion. Religion. If you look at the different religion, there are many religions. It started as a reform movement. Why? Because the basic idea, philosophy of this reform movement is based on one and only one idea, that we are not just biological creed. We are not just biological creed. We are much more than that. And to realize that much more than that, we need ethics. And so it draws its authority from here. And same is conscience, conviction, inner calm. And so this is how you go for determinants of ethics, be it culture, rationality, empathy, compassion, legal framework, etc. And this is how you list the sub-themes. Your source of question is not this. Not this. This is something helps to create major headings so much that you can arrange all the informations. All the information. But the issue is basically that how do you go for the sub-themes and the keywords, then the examples or some basic facts, etc. If at all it is available, then in toto it is going to help you to write good answer. Good answer. Fine. Similarly, you go for this fourth thing, consequences of ethics. I am going syllabus by syllabus. मैं syllabus के हिसाब से ही चल रहा हूँ. Just a moment. यस, consequences of ethics. एक हमने मेजर हेडिंग्स बनाई और फिर हमने इसको अलग अलग स्टेक होल्डर में देख लिया, इंडिविजुअल हो, सोसाइटल हो, इंस्टीट्यूशनल हो, ग्लोबल consequences हो, एटसेट्रा. फाइन. Individual consequences में we can talk about self-respect, credibility, inner peace, etc. In the institutional consequences, we can talk about how institutions are governed, function, its purpose, case studies, corruption. Corruption. For example, let's talk about the different institution and why institution is important in a democracy. Why? Because institutions are the integrity pillar. Institutions are the integrity pillar that gives strength to the democracy. I repeat my sentence. Institutions are the integrity pillar that gives strength to the democracy. And if this integrity pillar becomes weak, institutions are gone. Democracy becomes weak and ultimately it becomes a failed nation. When you call it failed nation, what does it mean by it? क्या geography के territorial से गायब हो गए? Institutions are collapsed. Institutions are collapsed. Values are gone. Values are gone. Whenever you get a time, read a book of Edward Gibbon, Collapse of Roman Empire. And then you will come to know that why ethics. Edward Gibbon की बहुत अच्छी किताब है. Anyway, so this is how you have to think in things that helps you to organize each and everything in a much better way, much better way. Why we are talking about the consequences of the themes? Consequences of the ethics. Now take one example. When we are talking about the world, today's world, 21st century world is nothing but we are living in a society that we can say market society. Market society, where everything is for sale. Everything is for sale. If you calculate the GDP of, you can say, the top 150 companies, it is coming across more than 50% of the world GDP. So, who is the major stakeholder in the world economy? Corporate, MNCs. Now, in a globalized world, I have a question to you. If it is not governed well, then this is how you have to think about these sub-themes. This is how you have to think about the sub-themes. Fine? 50-60 थीम है, अच्छे से कर लो, एग्जामिनेशन निकल जाएगी, ज़्यादा परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं. Now, when we are talking about this, then easily in the you can say the first unit itself, you can go to the next theme, and that is challenges. Or ethical practice. Challenges. What are the challenges? The biggest challenge is self-interest. Second big challenge is culture. अगर 2-3 challenges ही आप लिख लो तो बहुत सारे सिनेरियोज में वो फिट हो जाता है. जबरदस्ती नहीं, रेलेवेंसी के बेसिस पे. फाइन. सो coming back to the point, next, ethics in modern society and all. I am coming to next point. Yes, very important. Now, if you look at your syllabus, one thing is not given in your syllabus, and how we design, identify themes is this. Moral reasoning in public life. Moral reasoning in public life. Moral reasoning. It's not explicitly given. Moral reasoning. But I tell you one thing, Without this moral reasoning, you cannot write answer of this paper, be it paper 1 or paper 2 or section 2, section A or section B, doesn't matter. You cannot simply write. This is something that gives you the base of making argument, analysis, critical thinking. This one thing alone. This is how you think in themes. Themes. Moral reasoning. So when we say moral reasoning, it simply means that it is talking about the process of determining what is right or what is wrong. What I said? Process of determining. So when we say process, there must be some logic behind it. Some logic behind it. Some significance behind it. Upon which ethical decisions are based. So when we talk about, you can say, the themes in you can say, reasoning, moral reasoning, then obviously we are talking about that application in the policy, resolving moral reasoning, etc. But here one very basic question: what are the components? What are the components of moral reasoning? Components may be certain principles. Component may be law. Moral reasoning. Morality cannot be legislated. Morality cannot be legislated. But law ensures minimum morality. Minimum morality. Morality cannot be legislated. But law ensures minimum morality. This is how it serves the purpose of moral reasoning. बस इतना ही, एक एक दो कीवर्ड्स आपको पूरे के पूरे आपको लिस्ट अपनी समरी शीट में बनानी है जो 50-60 पेजेस के होंगे. That's it, nothing else. And rest what will happen? I will give you approximately 100 or not 100, approximately 200 questions. Not to solve, just see, reflect, सोचो, think without ink, पेन को रखो दूर. The reason is speed will come the way you start thinking. क्योंकि कई बार आप अपने अप्रोच टेम्पलेट्स बनाते हो, but when you go to write tests, wherever you are writing, you will find that you are struggling a lot. The reason is you are not able to translate because it is not yours. वो टॉपर का है, वो कोचिंग का है, तुम उसको एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए, ट्रांसलेट करने के लिए स्ट्रगल कर रहे हो. नहीं होगा सब. दिक्कत होगी, बहुत दिक्कत होगी. And that's why thinking simply means what? You are started internalizing most of the things slowly. The way you adopt, internalize, you reproduce it. तुम्हारे सिर्फ नोट्स बनाने से या किसी कोचिंग से नोट्स और टेम्पलेट लेने से नहीं हो जाएगा. It will not serve the purpose. If this would have been the case, then most of the candidates would have scored extraordinary, but this is not the case, that you know. Most of the students are getting some 37%, 38% marks. Reality तो यही है ना सब जीएस के. आप लोग बात करते हो कि मार्क्स क्यों नहीं आते हैं या जीएस में मार्क्स ही नहीं आते हैं, पढ़ के क्या करेंगे? मत पढ़ो भाई. लेकिन फिर ये भी तो सोचना होगा, कुछ लोग तो हैं जिसको मार्क्स आ रहे हैं, कुछ तो है. But anyway, so moral reasoning. But when we go for moral reasoning, fine, what is very important, and you can say, then accordingly you have to go for creating the sub themes. आपके questions यहाँ से ही बनेंगे, sub themes. So for example, application in policy making, resolving conflicts through moral reasoning, sub themes like moral reasoning in private life, personal dilemma के क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं, केसेस आ सकते हैं, चैलेंजेस क्या हो सकते हैं मॉरल रीजनिंग के, सब्जेक्टिविटी और कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म में हाउ व्हाट काइंड ऑफ रोल इट प्लेज. फॉर एग्जांपल आज ही बहस हो रही है पूरी दुनिया में फूड को लेके, ड्रेस को लेके. You have certain opinion, na? So what is the basis of that opinion? When you say something good, when you say something bad, what is the basis of it? What is the basis of it? There must be certain process. There must be certain components upon which the entire process of moral reasoning is based. Similarly, I have listed this, you can say, tools and method for moral reasoning, framework for ethical decision making. Very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. अगर ये एक सिर्फ इतना है, अगर हम समझ लें, framework of ethical decision making. So what happens that when you are getting questions related to, or which question which is solution seeking, it's very easy for you to find why factor and then write why with examples, cases. It's very easy to substantiate because you have a framework for ethical decision making. Ethical decision making, be it law based, be it theory based, be it virtue based, or whatever it is. So this is how you think about it, and in the sequence, you go about this ethical theories, because when you read about moral reasoning, then you have to have the idea of ethical theories. You read these. I'm not saying anything new, but what I'm trying to say is basically how do you go, or how you go about arranging all these things. The way you arrange all these things, it will help you to reproduce. And that's why again I am saying, think in themes. Think in themes. Fine. So this is all about this. Thinking. And then when you go about it, you have all the theories: utilitarianism, deontology, virtue, ethics, justice, and whatnot. Simply what you have to do is one and only one thing, and that is the basic principle, criticism, application. That's it. इस तीन के आसपास ही हम रखेंगे ज्यादातर चीजों को. Again I am saying you, summary sheet हमें समराइज करनी पड़ेगी. इट इज लाइक स्क्वीज्ड विजडम, जो तुमने साल भर पढ़ा है, 2 साल पढ़े हो, रिसोर्सेस हो. So you have to create a summary sheet. That's why I'm not using the word notes. I'm using the word summary sheet. वो सिर्फ keywords होंगे. It is like squeezed wisdom that you are squeezing and taking here. That's it. Ethical theories. This is how it helps to you can say, or it will work for you. Fine. And then in the last segment, you have in this unit, पहले unit में last topic क्या है तुम्हारे पास? Ethics in public and private life. And then you go about creating sub-themes like the nature and scope of ethics in public and private life, essence of ethics in public and private life, ethical principle and guiding public and private life, core values in public life. And you will go about arranging in 1 or 2 sentences or keywords. That's it, nothing else. Nothing else. And to understand it more, how the themes works, let's ask one question. Just one question. When I am saying that ethics in public and private life, that to summarize it, this theme, I'm just putting one question to you, that if a person is unethical in their private life, listen it carefully. If a person is unethical in their private life, can he or she be ethical in the public life? And this question itself is enough to give you so much of thoughts, ideas, moral reasoning, that gives you enough content about this theme, ethics in public and private life. Because it talks about the nature and scope of ethics in public and private life. Sphere. Yes, sir. So when we talk about the themes, this is how you think in themes. Syllabus, PYQs, contemporary issues, सबको मिला के इस तरह से आप हेडिंग्स सब हेडिंग्स बनाते चलते हो. That's it, nothing else. एक दो एग्जाम्पल, दो एग्जाम्पल, that's it, nothing else. Rest, you will have to come with the conviction that most of the things are done. When you go for answer writing, what happens? The biggest problem is recall, understanding, and your ability to connect the dots. Different, because it's very easy to talk about interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. पता नहीं इतने भारी भारी वर्ड्स सब यूज करते हैं, लेकिन होगा कैसे? कैसे होगा साहब? कैसे होगा? जब आप थीम्स में सोचने लग जाते हैं तो होने लग जाती है. It becomes little bit easier for you. Becomes little bit easier for you. Fine. So this is one. Fine. Let me take one more unit. Fine. One more unit to help you to understand how thinking themes works. Fine. Second unit in your syllabus is all about human values. This is the smallest unit, but believe me, without this unit, you cannot write a single answer of this paper. आप लिख ही नहीं सकते साहब, एक भी आंसर नहीं लिख सकते, तुम नहीं लिख सकते. लेकिन हम थीम्स बनाते कैसे हैं? क्योंकि अगर तुम इस यूनिट को देखो तो कुछ ज्यादा लिखा हुआ ही नहीं है इस यूनिट में, सिलेबस में. द वे यूपीएससी हैज प्रेजेंटेड इट्स सिलेबस, इट्स सिंपली रिटन ethics, you can say human values, and then a role of parents, education institutions, role of administrative, you can say the leaders, thinkers, etc. That's it, nothing else. But the way they frame question is extraordinary, extraordinary, extraordinary. And to understand it, just think about this. So how do we create, how do we think? हम कैसे सोचते हैं? क्योंकि जैसे ये यूनिट है और जैसे हमने ये यूनिट क्यों लिया, अगर पहले यूनिट में लो तो पहले यूनिट में आपको लगेगा कि पीवाईक्यू से जब आप मैच करते हो तो आपको लगेगा कि साहब देयर आर एनफ हिंट्स एंड लिंकेजेस द वे सिलेबस इज रिटन और गिवन and then the way questions are being framed in examination hall. But you come to this unit, you will find in the syllabus there is nothing. भाई कुछ भी नहीं दिया हुआ, human values, that's it, nothing else. But the way they have started framing question is completely different. It has gone to a very, very next level, very, very next level. And most of the questions from this unit is abstract in nature, open-ended. बहुत ही open-ended questions. Fine. And to understand it more, just go about understanding that how do we create themes when there is hardly any clue in syllabus, but a lot of clue in PYQs. And here comes the role of the PYQs. And once you get the idea from the PYQs, then it's become a little bit easier for you to link with the contemporary development, contemporary issues, contemporary events, etc. तो वो केसेस बनने लग जाते हैं और वो केस अपने आप में वो सब थीम और थीम में कन्वर्ट हो सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड इट. So when you go for the human values, the first thing first comes to mind is the first thing first itself. We'll talk about the human values, what is human value, why human value, etc. under all the possible themes. But the first question is to understand it. Let's talk about the first thing, value crisis. What is value crisis? And the first question comes to mind, really, is there any value crisis in the society? If yes, where? कहाँ दिखता है value crisis? पूरी दुनिया तो ये कहती है मैं चाहे ये करूं, मैं चाहे वो करूं, मेरी मर्जी. चलो साहब चलने दो. फिर then why there is a crisis? there is a crisis. And if there is a crisis, then the question is, what is the indicator of the value crisis? Because question will be framed not from the definition, or maybe they can ask somehow what is value crisis, but the real question will be from here, and not from here, rather cases, examples, indicator of value crisis, indicator of value crisis. You talk about individualism. What's wrong? No wrong. You talk about, you can say, live-in relationship. Court has granted permission. मस्त रहो साहब, जिसको जैसे रहना वैसा रहे. This is what we discuss. Fine. Let's take the another scenario. In some of the Western country, rate of illegitimacy, take the example of the US itself, rate of illegitimacy is 30%. In African American community, in some of the segment, rate of illegitimacy is more than 50%. इसका मतलब ये हुआ साहब कि एक बहुत बड़ा ग्रुप है जहां पे बच्चे को यही नहीं पता है कि उसके फादर कौन है, उसका बाप कौन है, या उसके पेरेंट्स कौन है. Fine. Now I have a question to you. Fine. You don't find purpose marriage as an institution. That's okay. But the question is the way one segment of the society is identifying alternative to it. Will it serve the purpose? Is it good? What would be the consequences? And on the basis of the consequences, you can go about this crisis. And here comes to use moral reasoning. Why? Why you are calling it as a crisis? As a crisis. There are several examples to it. So right from, you can say, the corruption to the rate of illegitimacy can fall under the category of this value crisis. There are, you can say, a range of cases, examples, issues that you can talk about. Interestingly, they are asking questions. Just go and see the previous year question. And so when you started talking about this, the cases, then obviously the second thing come to the mind is causes, reasons behind it. And so when you go about the reasons, it may be social transformation, technological advancement. Fine. For example, let's talk about the social media and how it is creating a value crisis. You can talk about the economic pressure. Fine. You can talk a lot about, you can say, the way, because of the economic pressure, the corporates are behaving in a different way. It's not simply about the profit. There are several examples to it. Let's talk about Enron. Let's talk about Satyam, Lehman Brothers. So many examples are there which cited the example of the economic crisis and then how it leads to the value crisis and consequences of this value crisis. And it happened in the recent time only. I'm not talking about some centuries and centuries back. I'm talking most of the things I'm taking examples from the last probably in 20, 30, 40 years time, 14 time, political factor. Fine. Now, whenever you go for this, then obviously you will have the next kind of themes that you have to go about it. Then it will manifest. Then definitely it will manifest. Sorry. Definitely it will manifest. So, manifestation of the value crisis. And here you have to identify the different segments, be it administration, corporate, society, youth. And then when you go for the consequences of the value crisis, then definitely you go for personal level, society level, national level, global level, etc. Be it, you can say, increasing crime, like the gender-based violence is the example of this. Communal right is the example of this. environmental degradation is the example of the corporate and all. Different examples आते हैं और तुम्हें सिर्फ इस तरह के themes identify करना है और उसके सामने cases, examples. If there are certain good practices, you have to talk about this. Fine. So I'm not going very deep into it क्योंकि अगर मैं जाऊंगा तो फिर बहुत सारी चीजें ले ही नहीं पाऊंगा. Fine. And similarly, you have to when you are talking about the value crisis, then obviously you have to talk about the human values. Then you have to talk about human values because it talks about their standards, values, etc., belief system, value system, etc. But one thing which is not mentioned in the syllabus is moral relativism. Moral relativism. The way in the first unit I talked about the moral reasoning. Similarly, you will find moral relativism is not given in your syllabus. But without this, again, you cannot make analysis. ये हो नहीं सकता सर, आप बना ही नहीं पाओगे. आप जस्टिफिकेशन, आर्गुमेंट, एनालिसिस नहीं ला सकते. और इसलिए इस डिस्कशन से पहले ही मैंने आपसे कहा था कि बेसिकली व्हाट हैपेंस based on my personal experience, understanding, and whatever limited work I have done with you, my observation says that this is the depth and the quality of analysis that gives you the edge in the examination hall or into the marks. जो ये 20, 30 और 15 नंबर के में एज दिखता है वो बेसिकली आता है क्वालिटी ऑफ कंटेंट. बेसिक कंटेंट सबके पास है और प्रैक्टिस करके स्ट्रक्चर भी काफी लोग डेवलप कर ले रहे हैं, अच्छे डेवलप कर रहे हैं, उसमें ज्यादा परेशान होने की जरूरत नहीं. लेकिन स्ट्रक्चर भी तो आप डेवलप करके, सिर्फ स्ट्रक्चर के तो मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे, मार्क्स तो आपको कंटेंट के ही मिलेंगे. व्हाट यू राइट, व्हाट इज द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, मार्क्स तो उसी के मिलेंगे. आपकी स्किल सेट है, प्रेजेंटेशन है, दैट्स ओके फॉर दैट. एज तो आप सिर्फ प्रेजेंटेशन के बेसिस पे एज तो नहीं ले सकते आप, क्योंकि वो अब काफी स्टूडेंट्स अच्छे लिख रहे हैं, प्रेजेंटेशन उनकी अच्छी है, उसमें कोई बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम नहीं और वो प्रैक्टिस करके आ भी जाता है. दैट्स नॉट एन इशू. थिंकिंग मेक्स यू स्लो. वो इतनी इजी डेवलप नहीं होती, सिर्फ कुछ टेस्ट लेके थिंकिंग डेवलप नहीं होती, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग नहीं आ सकती. It's almost impossible. So when we say moral relativism, it simply means moral relativism. It simply means good is what culturally approved. I repeat my sentence. Good is what culturally approved. अब साहब एक ही सेंटेंस से कई सब थीम निकलते हैं. If it is culturally approved, does it mean there is no universal value? Does it mean that we completely ignore or consider the values at the individual level? Yes, no, maybe. Fine. This is how you start thinking. This is how you start creating themes and start reflecting upon it. क्योंकि सिर्फ लिस्ट लेके क्या करोगे, लिस्ट लेके क्या करोगे. और आजकल तो ऐसे भी चैट जीपीटी में जो भी लिस्ट डालो सर सारे के सारे रेडीमेड अवेलेबल है, उसका क्या करना है. हमें तो बेसिकली वो स्ट्रेटजी अपनानी है which makes your task little bit easier, that helps you to define the things in a much better, easy way that you can retain well. And so here you will find, then comes types of relativism. Then moralism versus moral absolutism. And then you will go that lot of examples are there through which you have to go for the moral relativism. See, now I am talking about two things in this unit, value crisis and moral relativism, which is not given in this syllabus. But there are questions. I have framed all these themes on the basis of the PYQs. In the last unit which I have discussed, I have taken syllabus plus PYQ. Here, देयर इज नो सिलेबस एट ऑल, कुछ दिया ही हुआ नहीं है, उसमें क्या करूं मैं, उसमें क्या निकालूं, उन्होंने कुछ एक्सप्लेन ही नहीं किया, एक्सप्लेन ही नहीं किया, कुछ कोई हिंट ही नहीं है उसमें। तो हिंट कहां से मिलेगी? पीवाईक्यू से मिलेगी। पीवाईक्यू से आप थीम आइडेंटिफाई कर लेंगे, फिर आप रिलेटेड थीम्स को ब्रॉडन करेंगे, एंड देन यू लिंक टू द कंटेम्प्रेरी इश्यूज टू मेक themes more applied in nature, more contemporary, etc. etc. So if you look at this very quickly, then it goes like this. Fine. Moral relativism in the and contemporary, in contemporary, whether it is cultural, whether it is technology. For example, here you will find that a lot of discussion is happening here. Whether it is AI, social media, a lot of things are there. Fine. Good, bad, right, wrong. Fine. Critique of moral relativism, and so many things are here. I have given to it. Fine. So coming to the point in a nutshell. My whole motto and idea basically here is you to how to identify the themes. Obviously, I cannot give you all the themes क्योंकि वो फिर 4-5 दिन की एक क्लास ही हो जाएगी अपने आप में, 50-60 थीम्स को एक जगह करना. Here our idea is basically to help you to how to identify and list the themes, how, or you can say the approach through which you can create a summary sheet which touches each and every aspect of the syllabus, which is slick yet powerful, that gives you the confidence and the skill to write the paper and complete the paper with the quality. And this is why we are doing this for each and every paper, Fine. And this is what this session is all about. Fine. So this is all about today's session also. We'll take a session on essay, case study separately. Almost before the result, we will touch each and everything. Don't worry for that. हम लोग करीब करीब सारे एरियाज को टच कर लेंगे, सारे एरियाज को हम टच कर लेंगे. So don't worry for that. Fine. So उसे एक बेसिक आइडिया हो जाएगा, and then the whole idea is basically कि यही हम लोगों की अप्रोचेस जो होंगी वो क्लासेस में भी यही अप्रोच रहेंगे. Be it GS, be it case study, be it ethics, be it test series, or whatever it is. In less time, how we can do more. Fine. So this is how we are doing. Fine. If you have any query, we are always there. Just call to the office, get the number, and directly call me. Fine. We'll talk. We'll resolve your all the query. We are always there. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.